Okay, here we go. This is my 3-day per week program for a off-season high school football athlete. Okay, there's a lot of things that are going to depend upon the athlete, but I wanted to lay out a basic 3-day template, and then I'll talk a little bit about the differences we can implement based on that athlete. So I decided to go with a total body program each day. Now there's going to be a different focus per day, but each day is going to work the total body. Football is played with the total body, so I wanted to make sure that we address that in every single session. On day one, we're going to start with a dynamic warm-up, okay? And this warm-up is going to be a lower body focus. I want to start with some jump rope, okay? Great beginner drill, not only to elevate the heart rate, get the body temperature higher, but work on that rhythm, work on the elasticity of the ankles, work on that athleticism that so many high school athletes, and frankly college athletes, will not have. Right, we'll do various marches, A skips, working on that running technique, as well as getting all the joints a little bit more mobile and getting the body warm for our weight room work to come. Once we get into our weight room work, we'll start with a basic plyometric drill, a box jump, and we'll do 6 to 8 sets of 3. Now, I'm not overly concerned with how high the box is, but how high that athlete jumps every single time. So we're gonna do 3 great jumps, okay? And then the athlete will rest for a minute, maybe 90 seconds, and then do another set. 24 total jumps, right in line with what Louis Simmons would probably prescribe, anywhere from 20 to 40 jumps per day. I'll keep it a little bit on the lower end here for a high school athlete, emphasizing quality over quantity. After our plyometric explosive movement for the day, we'll move into our strength work. We're gonna superset a trap bar deadlift, 5 sets of 5, with a banded face pull, 5 sets of 15 to 20. Trap bar deadlift, if an athlete's got great mobility, and I've been working on them for a little bit, we'll use the low handles. That way we get a little bit more range of motion, a little bit more challenging to the legs and the low back. But we really want to make sure we hammer in that form. A taller athlete, maybe a newer athlete, I'm going to utilize a higher handle just so that I can make sure that we're doing it safely and they're gaining confidence in that movement. Most athletes, high school, male, female, college, have poor posture. So we're going to sneak in some upper back work here, accumulate anywhere from 75 to 100 total reps of banded face pull, really strengthen that posture. Not only is it going to help the trap bar deadlift, it's also going to get a little bit more upper back work that's going to translate to performance on all of our movements as well as our posture. C block here, we are going to do a dumbbell rear foot elevated split squat. I really like unilateral training for it building athleticism, building balance, building that even strength between right and left legs. If an athlete is struggling with balance, having their rear foot elevated, we can always do a lunge variation or just a split squat variation in which they keep both feet on the ground. But I do like the rear foot elevated split squat for stretching that back hip flexor and really challenging that front foot that's working. We're going to superset that with a dip or a push-up. If an athlete can do a dip, right, they're strong enough, they have the range of motion, it doesn't bother their shoulders, I really like the dip. But if an athlete just does not feel comfortable or is not able to do a dip, we can do a push-up. And we can do that from any grip we'd like. We can do a neutral grip with our hands elevated, we can do knuckle push-ups, we can do regular push-ups. If an athlete really struggles, we can elevate the hands so that the resistance is not as great, but still working on that push-up form is absolutely critical. I think any type of athlete needs to be able to control their body weight. Finally, we're going to end with a core exercise. The suitcase carry, really working our grip, depending upon what type of dumbbell or handle we're holding, as well as working that opposite side oblique, working the hips as well. It's a great finisher. Moving on to day 2, this is going to be a day that's going to have a little bit more of a upper body focus. We're still going to touch the lower body, but I want to make sure that upper body is emphasized, and that's going to speak to our high school football athlete as well. Within our warm-up, we're going to do some yoga push-ups, we're going to do some crawls, maybe some hangs, not only to work that grip strength, but to distract the shoulder joint and be able to control our body weight as well. Our plyo movement for the day is going to be either a med ball chest pass or a plyo push-up. Many different variations of plyo push-ups that we can do, but we might get some bigger, heavier athletes that can't necessarily do a plyo push-up. Okay, that's where a med ball chest pass, either with a partner or against the wall, can be very, very valuable. But we want to emphasize explosiveness and really firing that med ball or firing off the ground in our plyo push-up. Moving on to our strength work for the day, we're going to superset neutral grip dumbbell floor press for 5 sets of 10 with banded pull-aparts, 5 sets of 20. Now with that floor press, we're going to be building all of our pressing muscles, and I kept the reps a little bit higher at 10 so that we build that armor for the upper body. A lot of high school athletes are going to be under-muscled, so we want to make sure that we add a little bit more volume to the upper body. Banded pull-aparts, 5 by 20, really emphasizing our posture, making sure that we're squeezing our scaps, and we are balancing all the pressing work with a little bit more pulling and posterior work. C-block, we've got chin-ups, and we can do this with various different grips. We can go wide, we can go close, we can go underhand, we can go neutral grip. We've got fat grips that we can attach to the bar. We've got the globe, we've got the rope. I really like giving the athletes a freedom to choose the chin-up variation that they like. And the reason why we have the rep bracket 5 to 10 is that we might have some stronger athletes or athletes who are better able to handle their body weight, be able to do 10 reps no problem. We also might have some heavier athletes or some weaker athletes where chin-ups are still something that they're working on. So I'm going to keep them a little bit lower, and I may even only ask them to do the eccentric part of the exercise, where they jump up and they would lower themselves anywhere from 10 to even 30 seconds per repetition. And working on that eccentric lower is going to help build that strength. We're going to superset chin-ups with back extensions. This is where we touch the lower body a little bit, really work the glutes, the hamstrings, the low back, and this superset between working our upper back on the chin-ups, our lower back, glutes and hamstrings on the back extension, really works all those postural muscles and those muscles that we can't necessarily see in the mirror, but are so critical to performance. Lastly, on day 2, we're going to finish with either a farmer's walk or a waiter carry. This is going to work the grip, it's going to work the traps, it's going to work the upper back, it's going to work our stabilizer muscles in our hips, knees, and ankles, and it's a fun way to end that day. Moving on to day 3, this is going to be another total body day. We're going to have a total body dynamic warm-up. Again, we'll work some jump rope, some rhythm, some ankle elasticity, right? We'll work some crawls, some carries of various kinds, even some sled and some prowler work will be within that warm-up. A-block, our explosive movement for the day, we'll either do a kettlebell swing for maybe some newer athletes, 10 repetitions, or if I have a more advanced athlete that I've been working with for a little bit, we can do a hang power clean. And this is one of the first variations of Olympic lifts that I'll implement. Okay, fairly easy to teach and learn, working on that total body explosiveness. Moving on to B block, we're going to do a Zercher squat, 5 sets of 5. Okay, working on our upper back, working on our midsection, and still integrating that lower body as well. And then we're going to superset that with a recline row, an inverted row. We can do it with a barbell. We can go overhand grip, underhand grip. We can use a TRX or a ring for that. The more challenging I'd like it to be, the more we would elevate that person's feet. If they're a little bit weaker, they'll stand a little bit more upright. C block, we'll do either a glute ham raise or a leg curl. Some athletes will have the strength to do a glute ham raise, and I would prefer that. Some athletes may struggle having the posterior chain strength to perform that exercise. So possibly we'll get them on a physio ball, stability ball leg curl, a machine leg curl, or even a banded leg curl, just to get those hamstrings working. And again, we're going to pair it with a hanging leg raise, working the core, working the hip flexors, also working the grip and getting the distraction of the shoulders as well to stretch out that upper body. And then finally, we're going to end with sled drag or a prowler push. We can do races, we can do different variations of that, but we'll do 3 trips down and back. Now, one of the big components of my program here was thinking about kind of what Jim Wendler would talk about, right? We want to strength train the lower body and body build the upper. That's why you see a little bit lower repetitions on the trap bar deadlift and the Zercher squats, a little bit higher repetitions on the upper body. A high school football athlete, he wants to feel big up top. He wants to build that muscle in his pecs, his shoulders, his biceps, his triceps. So I want to make sure I give him that in this program, but we also know the legs are going to feed the wolf. The strength, the explosiveness, we need to make sure that we build the posterior chain. We have strength between left and right legs. Those are all things that I considered with this program, and this would be a basic 3-day per week microcycle for a high school football athlete.